Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gandy,
Here.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Here.
Commissioner Butcher,
Here.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Here.
and Mayor Comas.
Here. All right. Commissioner Butcher, if you'll lead us with the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Okay, all get y'all to bow your heads, please. Our Heavenly Lord, Father, Lord, we want to first of all thank you, Lord, for this day. Lord, thank you for each and every one of our families and seeing us through this holiday. Lord, bless those that are overseas and in harm's way. Lord, bless those that are sick and not able to take care of themselves. Also, Lord, look over us as this meeting goes on and help us and guide us in the right direction. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I salute the
Flag of the state of New Mexico is the symbol of perfect friendship among the United cultures.
I think have the word off. Yeah. You need to give this to him. All right. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know we did, and I'm just glad to see you guys back. We'll go on into the Christmas holiday season now. All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll second that. We have a second. Yes, sir.
We do need to amend it slightly.
Okay.
I have the wrong subsection on closed session. Needs to be subsection H2 instead of H8.
Okay.
I'll make the motion with
Amendment.
amendment on subsection H2.
I'll second that. All right, the record reflected, we have amendment to the closed session, subsection H2 as opposed to H8. All right, any other discussion? Commissioners? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion for the consideration of the regular meeting minutes of November 14th, 2016.
Second.
We have a second discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we'll go into the commissioners and staff report. Go ahead, Mr. White.
Commissioner and Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So keep you guys informed that street department on Wednesday will be patching the hole on in between Avenue A and Central Street. They will be blocking off that section of road that morning, possibly into the afternoon. We are going to advertise it on our Facebook page and Twitter that we will be closing down that road so we can get that road patched. And that is it.
Very good. Thank you. Did we get everything cleaned up on Main Street?
Yes. I can have them run down Sweet Street afterwards and everything, make sure everything's picked up after.
All right, very good. Anything else, Mr. White?
No, sir.
Thank you. Gary?
Your mayor, commission, I have nothing new to report.
Any news from the, or maybe information from the auditors?
No, I've received no updated information from them. They're still working with the data that they've received to compile what they need for the final audit. And I'm waiting with bated breath for any more requests.
Were we able to get the assets in question lined up?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In time for them
Yes,
to receive
on
it?
time.
All right, very good. Appreciate you guys working on that. Thank you. Anna?
Nothing, sir.
Okay. All right, very good.
Nothing, sir?
Commissioner? Very good.
Yes, James, I was wondering, could you give us an update on the pool? You know, we had those bids come in, and did we finally get a final decision on who's gonna repair that thing?
Mayor Commissioners, we're waiting to get that scheduled. We did receive all of our quotes for that project. So at this point, we're just waiting for the company to schedule to where they can come down, replaster, and also fix the exterior leak.
And that water that's in the pool now, where does it actually drain to? You know, it's got a lot of chemicals. Where do we dispose of that at?
You know, I believe that goes into the sanitary sewer. It's just, it has chlorine, just your regular chlorine and muriatic acid, but I'll find out.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, they run the back flush on it, and a majority of it does go down the sanitary sewer, through the back flush, and then we actually pump the rest out onto the lawn surface, and which is decamelized. It's, from sitting there so long, it doesn't have the chlorine content that it did naturally run through the summer.
That's pretty safe.
Yes.
I don't want to mess up our beautiful lawn out there. It looks good. Thank you.
Anything else, Commissioner?
Yes, sir.
I didn't have anything. I just want to thank the EDC, Main Street Chamber of Commerce, and even the theater employee for being here with us tonight. I know you guys are always busy, but we appreciate you showing up here as well. Thank you. Commissioner Trujillo?
No, good to go, thank you.
Commissioner Gandy?
Yes, James.
Sir,
I've traveled through town a couple, there's some different areas where it seems like you have large sections of streetlights out. Over there, is it Avenue I and J off at like a 13th and 11th the other night? There was a section that was out. And then, where's the other spot? I want to say it was over on off like First Street Central, somewhere like in there.
okay.
Just, I mean, it was kind of strange that such large areas were just really dark that night. I don't know if there was something with the.
Well, one thing, Mayor and Commissioners, that we can do is we'll have our night shift with the police department go through and take note of the locations where lights are out. Also, citizens will call us and report those as well, and just note the location. We can have Anna then contact Lee County Electric and get the repairs arranged.
I just, time to see something gets kind of dark early, so.
Yes, sir.
Other than that, I didn't have anything.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chief Rodriguez?
No, sir.
Chief Pizarro?
No, sir.
James?
Yes, Mayor Commissioners, of course, December 1st is our annual Employee Awards Banquet at 6 o'clock down at the Youth Center. We also have the Law Enforcement Academy graduation on December 2nd. It'll be held at the Event Center at 10 a.m. And then Crystal Ball is going to do our presentation over our recent Keep Lovington Beautiful campaign that they have.
Mayor, Commissioners, Crystal Ball, the city, of course. We had a Recreate event, which is a recycled art event. November was a National Recycle Month. So in order to try to promote recycling in Lovington, we held this contest with recreated art. Have you seen some of it out front? Did you see some? Those were our first place and our People's Choice Award. We'd like to thank Bob's Supermarket, Wildcat Donuts, and Tanner Gandy for donating refreshments. A special thanks to our judges, Carol Ann Hogue, Brittany Pettigrew, Mike Cavan, and also we had to pull Miss Rebecca Gandy from the crowd. We had a three-way tie in the 9th and 12th grade category, so it was neat. We had 15 projects submitted. We had a good turnout of people come in through the day. And we're just hoping that next year it'll be bigger and better. But our first place winners, kindergarten, was Valerie Martinez. She did the little plastic pig and piglets. We had 6th grade through 8th grade category was Aiden Rubio. He did the egg carton reindeer. 9th grade through 12th grade was Megan Stiles and Destiny Crawford. They made the dress out of the newspaper. And then I won the adult competition with my cardboard owls. Then we had, 2nd place and 3rd place winners throughout, and it was a really neat event. Wish you guys would have been there. I know, thank you, Arthur. He came and helped set up refreshments. Wouldn't have got my banner hung without his ladder, so thank you for being there. And next year, I hope you guys will be in the adult competition and give me some competition on that, okay? Thanks.
Thank you.
I mean,
Appreciate
told
that,
them-
Chris.
all of them are winners, really. Everybody that participated was a
They
winner.
were, there was some great projects.
Because of all they did, I mean, it was amazing. So maybe next year it'll be even bigger.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. James.
That's it, sir.
You want to tell us about our winners on the Shop Local Field Up?
Oh, yes.
Contest?
Well, we've received a lot of phone calls because apparently the wrong people have won. No, we actually did our drawing on Monday. They were wondering, why didn't you pick me? But we did draw. We had Silvano Hernandez, Jeffrey Silvera, and Mike Mann. They each won a $100 gift card. So we are looking at doing another variation of that, probably after the first of the year. We'd like to see if it did actually increase our receipts on the special gas tax. But we will be doing more events like that, just to encourage people to shop local, fuel up local,
Very good.
support our local businesses.
Very good, thank you. Anything else, James? Patrick?
Nothing to see.
Very good. Thanks, sir. All right, now comes the time for public comment. Anybody wishing to address the commission may do so at this time. You'll just announce your name and limit your conversation to about 3 minutes. The floor is open to you. Can everybody get up at one time? All right. Okay, seeing there's nobody stepping up, we'll continue on. We'll go into non-action items. Discussion of senior citizen board appointments. James.
Mayor and Commissioners, we have 3 appointments that will need to be made by the Commission at the December 12th meeting for 3 terms that expire at the end of December. Those terms are currently being held by Virginia Spears, Wilma Kimball, Thomas Griffin. We'll be soliciting requests from the public who may be interested in wanting to serve on that board.
Okay. Do those people want to run again?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Thanks, sir. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Going on to discussion of ETZ board appointments. James.
Yes, sir. The ETZ board, it's not our ETZ authority. This is the actual board that hears these requests prior to it going to the authority. But these are for 1 year. They do expire at the end of December. Currently held by Randy Pettigrew, Betty Price, and Raymond Marino.
Okay. Do they want to continue serving?
I know that Mr. Pettigrew and Ms. Price do wish to continue. I do not know the status of Mr. Moreno, though.
Oh, very good.
James, I'm sorry, back to the senior citizen.
Yes, sir.
I still would like to see, every time we have board appointments on the senior citizen, some sort of survey. I know we took one last time, because we make the board appointments, but they represent, or they feel, does the senior citizens feel like they're being represented?
We can.
Remember, we did that last time.
Yes, sir.
So I'm saying I'd like to see that once again, if you can
We'll get
do that. That way,
arranged.
if they feel like they need a change, then we can make them change, because I'm not there every day, so I don't know if they're getting what they soon to be there.
Might want to start filling up.
But, yeah, definitely want a survey on that, just to make sure we're doing what's right, making the right choices. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Say it, James. Go ahead.
No.
I can hear you. Okay. All right, going on, we'll go into discussion of library board appointments. James.
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, we are in need of appointing a new member to fill out an unexpired term. Donna Bench has served on the library board for over 20 years, and at the last library board meeting, she announced her resignation. Because she has served for over 20 years, she is actually eligible to be appointed as an honorary life member. So what we would need to do at the next meeting is to appoint someone to fill out the remainder of her term that expires in 2020.
All right. Very good.
Any recommendations on that?
Actually, the library board will be soliciting individuals who are interested in serving. I know that Ava Bench is, that's actually Donna Bench's daughter. She has expressed interest in wanting to follow in her mother's footsteps to serve on that board. And I know Ava uses that library quite often as well.
Okay, very good.
Chief, if somebody wanted to, if somebody wanted to run for that, do you go see to read it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? Everybody good? All right. Going on to discussion of records fees, James.
Yes. One of the, Mayor and Commissioners, one of the things that staff has been discussing are copies for public records. The last update that we had was in 2010, and we have moved beyond just paper records at this point. We have audio copies on CD. We have video copies, such as the lapel cameras and different electronic records. We have also have individuals who will submit an IPRA request and want electronic copies of documents. So we have to spend our staff time to scan those documents in and then email those. One of the things that we have done, we've made the investment in Laserfish, which we're digitizing all of our records. Right now we have all of our minutes, ordinances, resolutions up to February of 2016 digitized. Those are available to the public through the website for free. It's over on the left-hand side. You have the public portal. We're still working on a couple of quirks, but you can actually do, it has optical character recognition to where you can do a word search. You can actually look at electronic copies of minutes from 1912 if you would like to, or some of our first ordinances. But we do want to reflect, of course, the Inspection of Public Records Acts allows us to charge what's a reasonable fee. So some of the record fees that we've come up with, of course, paper copies of records, we've been charging 40 cents per page. We can go up to $1 per page within the law. We're not dead set on $1 per page, but we're also looking at, for audio and video recording, we're taking into account the staff time and also the materials needed for this at $15 per CD. Then if we scan and email an existing digital record, we're looking at 50 cents per page. However, if it's a new document that hasn't been digitized yet, we would increase that because there is more staff time involved in that. A letter of record is often a request that our police department gets. They have been charging $5 and we see no need to increase that. And then of course sending and receiving faxes and the notary fees would remain the same. But we would like to bring this back to the commission in December for adoption by resolution, so that way we can make sure, and really the emphasis of this is to push people towards the public portal, to where if it's not available on that public portal, it will eventually be. We had to replace our scanner that was 15 years old finally broke down. We recently replaced that, so we will be digitizing a lot more records, such as any of our leases or contracts, any JPAs, MOUs that we may have. We actually have numerous records that are, such as former employees, those are all digitized as well. Those can't be released to the public, and the public portal recognizes that, but we'll eventually also have a lot of financial records on there as well, just for transparency and let the public, but our main motivation is to really push this information to the public to where they have access to that information.
Any other questions, comments, discussion from the commission? All right, very good. Now we'll go into discussion of municipal reserve funds. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, we received our recent gross receipts tax distribution. We are up. If you look at the second page, we have our distribution broken down into the 3 different categories, and then I have also included our gas tax revenues. But you can see in the general fund of the GRT that goes directly to our general fund, we saw an increase from $459,000 to $505,000. And this was for activity that occurred in September. So these reports run 2 months behind.
Right.
And of course, you can see our LEDA fund, or our Logert fund, saw an increase in, of course, our capital improvement fund. And we also included our gas tax fund, the special gas tax that we get, to just demonstrate what our collections are. We can only go back to 2010, mainly because that's as far back as on the state taxation and revenue website that information goes. Just provide you some historical data. With the revised estimates, Gary and I sat down and looked at it with the cost-saving measures that we've implemented in our recent revenue report. Still looking at it from a conservative angle, we are still anticipating hitting 37%. We still have a 37% reserve.
Good. Thank you, guys. Questions? Comments? Okay. All right, we're going to discussion of auxiliary professional services agreement. James.
Yes, Mayor Commissioners, several months ago, I know we had our discussion over benefits for what we consider our auxiliary employees, which are the Chamber of Commerce, the EDC, the Lovington EDC, and Lovington Main Street. And after that discussion, we realized that we really haven't had any type of an agreement between these entities in the city. We do not have to go out to bid because it's the distributions or the funding that we provide does not exceed $60,000. So we're not required to go out to bid for these things. However, I was asked by Commissioner Trio to put together some type of a professional services agreement that, one, protects the city and also protects that agency for funding. So just to kind of go over, we've been working on this. I've met with each entity to discuss the agreements, but Section 1 of the agreements, for the most part, with the exception of Section 3, they are almost identical. But within Section 1, it identifies how the funding, where the funding is coming from. Is it lodger's tax? Is it economic development? Is it a general fund allocation? Also identifies that there has to be sufficient funds available in order to make that distribution to those entities. Identifies that funding level, and then also establishes documentation requirements as far as a list of activities. So that way a member of the public can say, well, what did they do this past quarter? We have a list of those activities. In Section 2, of course, the term, one thing that we're trying to do is shift everything to a fiscal year instead of a calendar year. So our term, the initial term, it would be for 6 months, starting January 1st, and end on June 30th, and then it would renew. I believe we have 3 additional one-year terms that we would have. Is there any need for us to seek out other entities just to get that question answered? No. I believe that the 3 organizations and their boards are doing a good job. This is just to identify protection and help us to justify that funding. Section 3, it identifies the scope of services. What will the entity provide, and also what will the city provide in turn, aside from a cash contribution. So when we look at the Chamber of Commerce scope, we have the documents that have changes listed. You have some strike-through items. Comments that are in blue are edits since its original inception that city staff have done. Edits that are highlighted in red font, those are changes that the individual entities have requested that we make. But whenever you look at the Chamber of Commerce, it's advertising and promotion of the city for business. Also, they would be required to develop 4 shop local ads. They would still be responsible for maintaining the visitor center. The mobile app, which has been very successful, they would still continue to maintain that and promote that app. Development of the community calendar, maintain a website, an email listserv, as well as they would be responsible for coordinating usage of the Troy Harris Center. Quality of life events, these events are meant to not only just improve the quality of life, but to promote Lovington. And these events are basically what our chamber has been doing over the past couple of years, as well as you'll see in the Lovington Main Street agreement, the events that are meant to promote that downtown tourism and marketing, their traditional events that they've had. Also some business development seminars and promotion of businesses. When we move along to Main Street, a lot of this follows the New Mexico Main Street requirements, as well as those that are required for national accreditation. And it's all about our downtown district, the historic Main Street district, which that pretty much goes from Avenue D up to Jefferson. That is the district where they focus on, where they want to draw people down to that downtown area. However, I know that New Mexico Main Street is really focusing on economic development now and really focusing on promoting and developing those businesses and historic districts in the downtown area. One of the things that we are currently working on is our downtown master plan. as well as the MRA. There is New Mexico Finance Authority funding available for that. There is no match requirement. We're working with Charlie Deans at New Mexico Main Street. He's working on getting that application put together. We'll be bringing that to you, but we're also looking at expanding our MRA, the Metropolitan Redevelopment Area. That gives us, as a municipality, more flexibility to work out economic development. Incentives and advantages to help revitalize and eliminate some of the blighted areas. Our EDC, of course, they're there to promote and provide assistance for qualifying businesses. We also, they just actually, I believe it was 2 years ago, our economic development plan, they did update that, but continue to do that. Work with existing and new businesses for job retention, recruitment, recruiting industry. They also serve by ordinance as our due diligence on our local auction or LEADA fund projects. The strategic marketing plan as far as economic development for the city. Also, there's PROs. The state will put out, I guess, requests for interest, or these businesses have certain requirements that they put out. They'll issue these things where you have to have a certain population, square footage of a facility, infrastructure needs. So they would need to respond to at least 4 of those in which we are qualified. Now, that's one of those requirements where they may not be able to issue any PROs in which the city's actually qualified. So they just wouldn't be wasting the executive director's time on or answering a PRO for something that we don't have access to an international airport or a seaport. So we also have manufacturing companies visiting with those that we're qualified for. Manufacturing site visits, again, if it has an asterisk, it means that we have to be qualified for it. Planning and development of our industrial park, also email and website, and of course shop local, like all the other entities that we have. As far as what else we provide other than funding, we do provide office space, utilities, janitorial services, and we do limit some. We do allow access to our copier for them to reproduce different documents as far as for marketing and advertising, and that's part of this agreement as well. Some additional sections, of course, with the Chamber in Lovington Main Street, we did remove that confidentiality clause. There are, but we left it in the EDC agreement. Reason being is the EDC, because they are a third-party entity, they can work with businesses that may have proprietary information that can't be released. And so we left that confidentiality clause in their agreement, so that way we can preserve that business recruitment tool that we have. Also, of course, Section 12 is non-appropriation. We have to make sure that we actually have the funds available, and payment is contingent upon DFA approval of the city's budget as well. And then, of course, Section 4, proprietary information. If they develop something, the city doesn't necessarily own the rights to that. And I would stand for any questions or direction.
Let me ask you this, James.
Yes, sir.
Regarding these changes, modifications, requirements, whatever they may be, are these entities able to, are we able to come to a common ground? Are we able to, whatever requirements we impose on them, are they able to meet those, and vice versa? Because I understand this is a two-way street. Any issues that we can help with, or any issues that are there that you see or foresee in the future?
I think we've worked well together, but I think I would let each entity, I think I would rather them express those, if they have any concerns, directly to commission, so it's not lost in translation.
Okay. All right. Feel free to step up if you'd like. Express any concerns, issues.
Show some love, whatever you want to do.
Now's your time.
Well,
Go ahead and step up.
well, you make the move first. Well, I can't really speak for my entire board, but whenever I did take Tabitha Lawson, Lovington Main Street. When I did take the initial contract to them, they were fine with most everything in there. We did have a couple of concerns that were discussed with James, and then there have been a couple of edits. So I think the way it stands right now, the board is comfortable with the contract as presented. I think the main concern that they had was just originally it spelled out every single event and then said plus X amount more. So it ended up that we were doing required to do 10 events a year. And I know that New Mexico Main Street had a problem with that because they said that was very, very event heavy for a local Main Street to be doing because there are so many other facets to being accredited, and that if we were spending all of our time just doing events, then we wouldn't be able to delegate appropriate resources to the other things that are required. So I think the way it stands now, we came to a common ground.
We appreciate that because it's important for us to hear your viewpoints on this as well.
And we just added some recommended verbiage after getting input from New Mexico Main Street. So
Okay.
I think it's fine how it is now.
Thank you, Ms. Lawson.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Raylan Dunlap, Lovington Chamber of Commerce. I also can't speak for the full board, but some of the concerns are also addressed in ours, and we do feel comfortable at this point. We did have some questions. There were some things that specific as far as business seminars and job fairs. With the economy as it was this year, it would have been very difficult to have X amount of job fairs this year with the lack of jobs. So that was something we wanted to take out. But we also have additional funding from our membership that pays for that. So that's where we wanted to eliminate the ear tagging the number. Our concern was as well as the events. There are some events that we have seen lack of participation, so we didn't want to be tied to something, so the additional or similar event or festivity of that nature we wanted to continue to put in there because we don't want to see it go away, but we wanted to have the option to put something else in play if it was necessary. But we don't want to see our events go away. That is not our intentions in any way, shape, or form. That's why the additional verbiage for our events are in there. That's why we went that direction. So our intention is not to eliminate anything that we are currently doing. But if it is necessary, we want to have some flexibility to be able to replace it with something else.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Brenda.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Anybody else?
We're flipping a quarter back there.
Mayor, Commissioners, Randy Pettigrew with the Lovington EDC.
Yes, sir.
You know, when James first brought this to me, I was excited about this. Yeah, I believe that you should be accountable for funds and that we're using that are the taxpayers, and we should do each of these organizations. I feel fulfill a very needed spot within the community, and turning around and actually getting every quarter to come in here and put up the statistics on what each one of them have done, and trying to generate not only business but quality of life events and stuff like that. I think that's good for all three organizations. Definitely is for the EDC, because most of the time what we do we don't talk about, and mainly because we're tied to not talking about those things and how we're doing it. So I think it's important for the commission to actually see and get a report from us, from the other ones that show what they are doing, because you watch and you see each one of them doing so much, but actually putting it on paper for the commission to see, I think is great. We talked to an extent about this. We talked about internally what we need to do. This was a driver for the EDC for us to talk internally about how we set our own expectations and how we measure those. And so we're happy with this. I will say that in defense of each of the executive directors, and I haven't talked to the other two, I can tell you the discussions I've had with Evelyn and with our board. I think that it sets clear expectations from the city, and for the expectations as we continue to move forward, if we add different expectations, that's a good thing. But it requires a board activity as well. It has, you know, whatever size your board is if your board's not totally involved and supportive of the executive director, then this impacts one person. And so that's the tough side to that. And so it holds an accountability to the boards as well. And that was a big discussion that we had when we sat down, is making sure that our board's accountable to our executive director, just not the other way around. And so, like I said, I think this is exciting. I think this is a good move for the city.
Appreciate that, Brandon. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, very good.
I got a question.
Yes, sir, Commissioner Sanchez.
I guess I'll ask Mr. Williams, on the, on these three organizations, the Main Street, EDC, and we passed a 1/8 the gross receipt tax back in 2011, 2012, I remember. But do they get to share from that 1/8 whatever they need, the three entities?
Mayor, Commissioners, no. Actually, the only one who has ready access to that actually is our Economic Development Corporation. That is where their $50,000 that we provide to them every year comes from. The other entities, they don't have access through that unless it's through a project. For instance, we allocated $3,000 from that fund to help pay for the downtown graphics to fill the vacant storefronts. That was a Lovington Main Street project that was funded with economic development funds.
I guess I'm just thinking, if they should, all three have equal access, I don't know, to it. If it was necessary, I don't know. However their budgets are, whatever.
Mayor, Commissioner, we're actually limited by state statute on that.
I think I saw where it says there's agreement that we can rescind whatever agreement within 90 days or whatever. Would that include our gross receipt? If we needed to use it, could we use our city? The 1/8, if we ever needed to use it, could we use it and not hand it over to the EDC?
No, sir, we cannot.
Because of the state statute or
Correct.
something? Is that right?
It is.
Okay. I just wanted to be fair, everybody to have an equal access to whatever we have.
And so when it's all said and done, that money has to just go back into the kitty, or it just never was funded. Like if they had the 50,000 and say they only use 30,000 of it, the remaining is
No,
where?
Mayor, Commissioners, no, sir. We provide them a quarterly disbursement. So it's their annual funding amount based on course. So if they don't, seeing the financials from each one of these entities, they expend all of those funds. They don't maintain a reserve. I can honestly say 100% of that funding, it does not cover 100% of their expenses. So that's why they generate additional funding through memberships that they charge to be a part of that organization. So our funding is a big portion of their operating expenses, but it's not 100. But they actually utilize 100% of it. Nothing is reverted back to the city.
It's used down to the village. That's good.
You could probably use more. Right. Okay. Any other discussion, questions, comments? All right, we'll go into action items now.
I make a motion, we consider award of CD
BG Engineering Services.
I'll second that.
We have a second, James?
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, on, when was this? When did we open this up? We received responses to our CDBG engineering services bid that we were required to go out for. We received responses from Ideals Inc., which is a firm out of Alamogordo, Pettigrew and Associates, and then Occam Engineers as well. So our evaluation team did get together. We scored these with Pettigrew and Associates receiving the highest score of 157.5 points. So what we are requesting commission do is approve awarding the bid to Pettigrew and Associates contingent upon DFA approval. With this grant, we still need to send up the RFP and the bid tabulations to DFA for them to review, since this does deal with federal funding. They need to review and go ahead and, along with other documentation, we have 15 other documents that we already have that will need to go up with this. But we're asking for commission to approve this contingent on DFA.
I just have a quick question, James.
Yes, sir.
What is the evaluation criteria?
The evaluation criteria, it looks at their ability to perform the work. It looks at their past record of performance, whether or not they've been entered into litigation, experience and familiarity with the agency or us. This was actually utilizing the format that the state of New Mexico puts out in the RFP form. And you actually have a total of 170 points that you're eligible for.
All right, very good, thank you. Any other questions?
Go ahead and amend that to add the award to Pettigrew and Associates prior to DFA approval.
I'll second that.
Patrick? I have a question, I see a question in your mind.
Was it contingent upon DFA approval?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, sir, I did.
Okay.
So what he meant, it didn't come out exactly that way.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be
Okay.
short on the
Are we clear on that, huh? All right. Any other questions or comments regarding the motion? Yes, sir.
So what this RFP actually does is it's for design services for what we call our 2016 CDBG road work, which is Jefferson Street from 13th to 17th, Avenue H from 2nd Street to 5th Street, and 2nd Street from Avenue D to Jackson. But it also includes preliminary design work on our 2017 projects, which are 5th Street from Avenue D to Avenue K and 1st Street from J to O. All of these streets meet CDBG requirements. One thing that we learned when myself, Wyatt, and Commissioner Butcher attended the awards is that they have changed CDBG to where if you already have certified engineering estimates, it doubles the maximum award that you can receive for these projects. So we're going to be anticipating applying again for this next round of CDBG grants with some additional streets. So hopefully we can get additional funding from the federal government for this work.
Good. All right. Any other questions for the commission? Comments? All right. Thank you, James. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. I'll entertain another motion.
Make a motion, we go into closed session pursuant to section 10-15-1 NMSA 1978, subsection H-8 regarding limited personnel matters, employee resignation.
Two.
Amend it. It's going to be
Oh,
two.
yeah,
Two.
H2. Thank you.
We have a second. On a roll call, please.
Who was the second?
Commissioner Sanchez.
Commissioner Trujillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher?
Yes.
And Mayor Thomas?
Yes. We will now go into closed session. Thank you.